Hey, light bearers. I'm back. I'm back with another video. Um, it's been a while. It's been maybe a week or two, maybe like 2 weeks since I made my last recording. And today I wanted to talk about self-sabotage. And I wanted to talk about self-sabotage because I'm famous for it. I am famous for self-sabotaging, and it's something that I have been addressing during my healing process. And I think that it is important that it be addressed because we as individuals should know what self-sabotage is and what it looks like, right? And so the last 2 weeks have been heavy. It's been a lot going on in my personal life, and um I had a meltdown at work. And I don't have meltdowns at work. Like, that's just not something that I do, and it's not something that happens to me. So for me to have that happen, I just was like, why? You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, I understood it and the process of it, but I didn't understand it at the same time. And it took this beautiful woman. I love this woman. I swear I love this lady because she taught me this valuable lesson about being a lighthouse. And so I'm going to back up just a little bit to give a synopsis on it, because um the lighthouse theory that I'm living off of now, that I've kind of adapted to, I kind of applied it to my life in the last year. And so there was an incident that happened at my job where, they came and they got me and they was like, hey, we need you to bring your students to do blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Can I get just like 5 minutes to close out what I'm doing? And then I'll be around. And so, no sooner than the lady had came to my door and said, yeah, I'll give you the 5 minutes. Everything's cool. I'm going to go check in with somebody else and, keep it moving. I'm like, okay, cool beans, no problem. No sooner than she had left and I, returned back to my instruction, another lady came with um another teacher, and she was just like, we're waiting for you. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you in here? When I just talked to somebody else and they told me that I could have my 5 minutes, why are you in my room? And so my energy had shifted instantly, right? Like, I got extremely irritated. And so, like, when I spoke to the woman, the second group of people that came in, they could feel my irritation, even though when I responded, I wasn't disrespectful. However, my energy was really strong and they could feel that I was irritated. They could sense that I was irritated. And so she was just like, I don't understand it. And so when I, walked the children around to where we were supposed to go, whatever the case may be, I was on 1,000. And I was like, yo, I don't understand why people think it's okay for them to just, butt in and do blah, 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 say things or whatever the case may be. Like, I know what my job is. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm well aware of what I'm supposed to do. I don't need this one and that one to do X, Y, Z, P, D, Q. And so, as I'm saying this, I'm not naming names or anything. I'm just expressing how I feel, because I'm like, the lack of communication can cause friction. And so as I'm venting, the person whom I'm talking about was actually in earshot. And she heard me. And so she was just like, she stepped out and was like, we're gonna have a conversation. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care. We can have a conversation. Like, I'm not tripping. Right. And so, like, we wound up not talking that the rest of that day. Like, and every time she saw me throughout the course of the day, she just was like, it was like, tunnel vision. Like, I'm not talking to you, I'm not addressing you, I don't have nothing to say with you, because you really, like, that really made me feel some kind of way. And so I went home that night, and it was so heavy on my spirit, and I knew it was something that needed to be addressed because my mind would not leave it alone. And I'm like, what is so important about this moment? I'm like, well, wait a minute, this person that I'm talking about is actually a person that I genuinely care about. However, like, She irritated me, and I need her to understand my irritation wasn't necessarily to her. It was just a lack of communication amongst the group of them. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't her fault that she came in second to say whatever it is she said to me. She was just attempting to help. And so I went home that night and I couldn't sleep, and I prayed on it. I'm like, God, help me. God, I need help. God, I need to understand this. God, I need to understand that. And I'm like, God, give me the words to say what I need to say to this woman. And so the next day we wound up still not talking to each other the whole day. Like we went the whole day not talking to each other. And finally at the end of the day, she happened to like go to the bathroom because the bathroom's like right next to my room. And as she's coming out, she finally steps in and she's like, I just wanted to talk to you. And she was like, well, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that, like, it was like a horrible miscommunication, and I just got irritated, and I didn't mean to direct my irritation towards you all. It was just like, I know my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. And so I apologize, for, relaying my response in the manner in which I relayed my response. However, I meant what the fuck I said. Excuse me. I meant what I said. And so she was like, I totally understand. And she was like, I apologize on my behalf too, because what I'm learning is that I have to mind my business sometimes, like stay in my lane. And so I know I'm trying to be helpful, but sometimes I overstep my boundaries too. And so we began to have a conversation and we began to kind of like clear the air between the two of us. And as we're talking, she said to me, she's a very spiritual and religious woman, and I love it about her. She's just as we're talking, she says to me, you have to understand that you are a lighthouse. And I said, what? What are you talking about? And she was like, you have to understand that there are things within you that shine light on things that are in other people that they may not be aware of, and vice versa. And so she said to me, when there are storms, what does a lighthouse do? What is the purpose of a lighthouse? And I'm like, well, a lighthouse, shines light so that the ships can see shore, find shore in the midst of a storm, or when it's dark outside, or because they know where land is, because the lighthouse is firm, it's stable, it stands, it withholds up in storms and tumultuous weather and things of that nature, and it stands strong, and it's huge, and it's bright, right? And so she said to me, she was like, you shine the light to me just as much as I'm shining a light to you. You showed me that I need to stay in my lane and mind my business sometimes. And like I told her, I said, well, you showed me that I need to be mindful of how I address people, right? And how I approach people and how I relay information to people. Now, I gave this story because I wanted to kind of give a background on the lighthouse theory and why I brought that up and why I call people light bearers. Now, to push into what this whole video is supposed to be about, um, sometimes as the lighthouse, right, you cannot see what's inside so much so as you can see what's on the outside and what you are shining light to. And so when you're shining light out to other people and you are giving out light and love and positive energy, and you're giving out, just assistance or help in any way, shape, or fashion that you give to other people, you don't recognize or realize how your energy, uplifts a situation and how it makes other people feel. And like sometimes you don't realize your greatness or realize your worth, and so you self sabotage. And it comes in the instance of accountability, right? And for me, I know for me, my biggest thing was imposter syndrome, right? Not believing in not believing that I deserved what was coming back to me. Now, in my previous video, I was talking about how what you give out is what you get back. And so I'm always giving out optimism and positivity and light and love, and I'm always walking in my truth, right? However, I don't always get that back from other people. So it's like I always question myself, like, well, why is this happening to me? Why am I getting this energy back? Why does this, why are my situations or scenarios playing out the way they're playing out when I'm open to positive energy all the time. Now, granted, I know you can't always control what comes towards you, because where a person is in their journey is where they are in their journey, and they may not, have healed in certain areas or aspects of their lives. So even though you might give out light, love, and positive energy, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always get light, love, and positive energy back. Now, my issue is that when I get the light, love, and positive energy back, or when people have been giving me light, love, and positive energy, I've been struggling with receiving it. And so I'm like, I've been praying, like, God, what is my issue? Lord, I'm praying that you open my heart to allow me to receive. I'm praying that you allow me to be receptive of what this energy is, so that, it can help uplift me, it can help grow me, and it can help me move and change and evolve. And so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was saying, like, do you believe that you deserve it? Do you believe that you're worthy of it? And so I had to really sit with that. I had to sit with that for a couple of weeks, because I'm just like, dang, like, do I deserve it? Like, yeah, I deserve it. I know I deserve it, right? And so, like, what it helped me to understand is that although many of us believe that we deserve positive feedback and positive criticism, or just criticism in general, we had to be accountable for our personal healing process. And so for me, even though I'm learning to trust in the fact that I deserve, love, and I deserve acknowledgement, and I deserve, just to be heard, or to be respected, or just to, I deserve to be, financially free. Like, because a lot of us are really struggling right now. And so, um, it made me really look at myself and do a self evaluation. And I'm just like, okay, what is the issue? And I'm like, oh wait, I do believe I deserve these things. I do believe that I work towards it, and I'm receiving, yet I'm not actually allowing myself to bask in it or absorb what I'm receiving, right? And so lately this week, the biggest piece has been fellowship, right? Because I told you I joined Bible study, and the Bible study leader, I love her. She's a trip. She was like, you have to learn the fellowship. You have to learn the fellowship. And I'm like, miss, I don't like people. Like, like, real talk. Like, I'm like, I love people. However, I don't like people. And she was like, that doesn't even make sense. I'm like, it does make perfect sense if you really understand where I'm coming from. And so she was like, well, elaborate. And so I'm like, telling her, like, I love people. I love helping people. I love looking out for people. I love assisting people. I love, like, the interaction with people. I love their personalities and things of nature. However, at the same time, I don't like people because of the lack of accountability that a lot of people have. And I don't necessarily care for the drama and the rigmarole of just small talk. Like, I'm not with it. Now, am I cordial? Am I respectful? Yeah. If I don't care for you, it may be known that I might not care for you, but I'm not going to be, like, just mean to you for no reason, because in the scripture it says, love your brother as you love yourself. And so, even down to your enemy, love your enemy as you love yourself. And so I'm learning, to love everything and everyone with boundary, and with standard, and with regard and respect to um growth and prosperity, and with regard and respect to boundaries in terms of where I'm going on my journey, my path. Because what I'm learning is that everybody cannot go where you're going. Everybody cannot be a part of what God is wanting you to be a part of, or be a part of your cycle, or be a part of your story. And so in my last video, I was saying, like, this is the next chapter. And I'm just like, okay, who's supposed to go along with me? And so I've been asking God to give me discernment to understand or trust and know who are my people. And so he's been showing me my people. And as he's been showing my people, I'm like, well, are they really my people? Like, I'm second guessing everything. And when you second guess, you are actually operating in doubt and self sabotage. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't evaluate a situation and be cognizant and alert and aware of all of the factors that play a part. However, at the same time, if something good is coming to you, accept it, like receive it. Like if you asked for it and it came to you in the manner which you asked for it in, or even if it didn't come in the manner which you asked for it to come to you in, if it still came to you, you should still acknowledge it. And so for me, I'm looking at my notes too because I was writing down. I'm learning to end past cycles. And so in past cycles, I used to self sabotage and not intentionally. It was more of a subconscious habitual thing. And so I said, let me go really evaluate and read and like research what it is to self sabotage. So I, excuse me, excuse me, I went and I looked it up. And so it says self sabotage is the act of behaving in ways that undermine one's own goals, relationships, or well being. And it's often unconsciously done. So, one, I know I'm a procrastinator. Because, and that's not subconsciously done. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing it. And so it's just like, I know it needs to be done. So, but it's like, if I'm not in the mood to do it, I don't want to do it. And so I'm learning self discipline, because even though I don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it, doesn't mean that it should not get done. And what I'm learning is that if I do it now and I do it efficiently and effectively and I complete it, I no longer have to think about it. I no longer have to worry about it. I no longer have to be concerned with it. Therefore, I can take my energy and my attention and put it elsewhere. Right? So I'm tackling my procrastination. And then the second one was making excuses, which I'm pretty good in that area where I don't necessarily make excuses anymore. Now I'm just like, okay, this is what I did and this is why I did it. And I know it wasn't the right thing to do. Now this is how I'm going to fix it. Right. And so many of us, we do make excuses and say, oh, well, just because, or maybe we always hum and ha about it. Right. And so what I'm learning is that when you're making excuses, all you're doing is just piling it on deeper. You're just making the hole deeper for you to get out of. Right. So instead of you just owning it and saying, yeah, that's what I did. That's how I did it. Maybe I shouldn't have done it that way, but this is how I did it. And this is what the situation is. Now let me actually deal with the consequences of it and move past it. Many of us like to be in denial. And I think I talked about that in my last video when I was saying about not wanting to accept the situation for what it is, not at all, or accept yourself. And so this week I've been having conversations because I decided to go back into therapy. And so I was talking to my therapist and I was just telling her, like, I don't feel like myself and I don't feel like, I'm moving in the right direction. And I'm like, I'm struggling with accepting. And she was like, pause. I'm like, what do you mean you're struggling with accepting? She's like, why do you struggle with acceptance? And I was like, well, I'm concerned about what this person thinks or what that person thinks. It's not necessarily this or that person. It's just in general what a person is going to think of me because of who I am and because of what I do. And so she was like, well, who gives a fuck about that? And I said, pause, excuse me. I'm like, well, what do you mean? People's opinion doesn't matter? And she was like, and granted, I know people's opinions should not matter, yet people's opinions of you does help to shape and mold your perspective, and it does help to shape and mold who you become as an individual, because sometimes their opinions are valid opinions. I'll say this, those opinions that are asked for. Now when opinion is offered and you're not asking, then yeah, go figure, you know what I mean? It's different. And then, I just was like, okay, well, she was like, you have to understand that people had opinions about God. They had opinions about Jesus. They had opinions about David. They had opinions about Daniel. They had opinions about John. They had so many different opinions and they offered them. Yet, Jesus still moved. David still moved. John still moved. Matthew still moved. All these different people in the Bible. And I'm referring to the Bible because I told you I've been in Bible study. I'm working on getting my spiritual together. They are examples to show you that you still have to show up for yourself in the midst of whatever the situation or circumstance is. Now, how you show up for yourself can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. And that brings me into self-destructive behaviors, because that's also a form of self-sabotaging, right? And so I can be impulsive at times, which I've learned about myself by evaluating my past and evaluating the decisions and choices I made when I was younger, when I was, naive and immature and still learning. And so I learned that, self-destructing behaviors They stem from failures, areas where you attempted to do something and you attempted to accomplish something and you weren't successful with it. You failed at it, and so now you beat yourself up about it, right? And so you feel bad about it, and so now you might go and do something just totally out of character, just because you just like, I don't care anymore, like I'm just gonna go be free. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to care about it. I'm just going to act. And that's impulsion. Like, you're being impulsive. And when you're being impulsive, the problem with that is that you open up a can of worms for yourself, and you open up a can of worms in your life where now you have a whole nother scenario or situation that you have to deal with that you didn't before, because you were impulsive and you did something that was detrimental to your health, be it mentally, physically, emotionally, or psychologically, right? And so it kind of turns into like a trickle down effect where it spirals down, and you start having low self-esteem, and you start, having negative self-talk and things of that nature. And so this week has really opened my eyes to my self-sabotaging behaviors. And so when it comes to work this week alone, God is showing me like my self-talk, um my limiting beliefs in myself. What else was it? And my deep-seated feelings of unworthiness, like maybe I don't deserve this. He's showing me, excuse me, another confirmation group. He's showing me how I need to be intentional, right? And so, not to give too much of my personal life, because I don't know who watching me. People could be, on some stuff. However, there have been a lot of changes, right? And in those changes, it is challenging me to step outside of my comfort zone. And many of us don't like to step outside of our comfort zone. Many of us don't want to. Many of us don't care to. Many of us are okay with where we are, or okay with our situations or circumstances, or we're really not okay with it, but we're just comfortable because we already kind of know what to expect. And the issue with that is when you are comfortable in your chaos, or comfortable in your just situation, what I'm learning is that you're stagnating yourself. You're pausing yourself to not grow. Like, you're holding yourself back. It's a detriment to yourself, right? And so my thing is, I don't want to be a detriment to myself. I don't want to be a hindrance to myself. I don't want to be stuck. I have goals. I have dreams. I have aspirations. However, I'm in the midst of this storm. All this stuff is happening, and I don't want to do it no more. I'm over it. Like, why this going down? Why that going down? Why that going down? And then I have like this one over here asking 50,000 questions, or this one over here needs this, that, and the third, and this one's over here, behaving this way. And then this one is saying, hey, you got to be responsible for this. And this one is saying, hey, you didn't do this, da, 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 da. And so it's like all these different things are firing off at the same time. And now I'm just like, okay, this is overload. I'm overwhelmed. I'm frustrated. I don't give a fuck no more. I don't care. So whatever, forget it all. Right. And when you get like that, what I'm learning, what I learned this week, because I'm back to this woman. I love her. I'm trying to tell you. She helped me in the midst of my storm. And so I was in the process of getting ready to go into self-destructive behavior when it came to my job. And it was a result of an interaction that I had with my child. And so what I'm learning is that the enemy will come at you in multiple ways, through multiple facets, and it will attack where you are weak, or where you are not strong, and where you are lacking, your confidence, or where you're lacking your stability, or where you are lacking your focus, or your intention, or where you haven't put your intention, right? And so my son is currently going through something, right? And I'm recognizing the importance of what he's going through, and how what I was going through at the time when I was pregnant with him is actually affecting him now, currently in his life. And so it caused me to kind of go back into a reflective state and say, okay, well, what was I dealing with at that time so that I can actually help him? Because what I did not realize or what I did not understand or know was that when you are, in fact, pregnant, it is very, very important for you to be very conscientious, alert, and aware of what your energy is, what your thought is, what your feelings are, what you are exposed to during that pregnancy, because that child is also absorbing that through the mother-child bond and connection and relationship as you're pregnant and you are growing this human, right? And so at the time I was pregnant with my son, this was back in like 2017, I was extremely overwhelmed. I was I had pregnancy brain, so I was forgetting a lot of things. I was very emotionally distraught. I was dealing with an unhealthy relationship or marriage. I was dealing with codependency from other people. I was dealing with um just mom life, being wearing all the hats and facets of being a mom, being a daughter, trying to make sure I'm showing up for everybody. And then I realized I wasn't showing up for myself. So I felt very isolated. I felt very alone. I felt very ignored. I felt very invisible. I felt um, very misunderstood. And so all of these things that I was feeling at that time when I was pregnant with him are all the things that he is currently saying right now in his life, in his situation, the feelings that he's feeling. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, the connection, like, let me fix this. How do I fix this? How do I help my son get through this? And so I'm learning to talk to him a certain way, and I'm learning to address him a certain way, and I'm learning, to be patient with myself in the process, and then to heal myself from that point. Those feelings that I was feeling at that time, like, why was I feeling alone, and why was I feeling, isolated and irritated and agitated and annoyed, and why was I feeling all these things, and then having to go back and do the work for myself, recognizing why I was feeling those things and how to heal them, and giving myself grace and forgiving myself, and actually giving myself space to do it, holding space for myself first, right? So that's addressing that self sabotage, because now instead of me just saying forget it and walking away, or having destructive self talk or destructive behaviors or destructive mannerisms, now I'm actually holding space and I'm saying, okay, let's fix this. I felt alone because I wasn't being acknowledged. I felt alone because I wasn't being listened to. I felt alone because I was literally always by myself, after dealing with everything else. And I finally get to sit down and I want to be cuddled, or I want to be held, or I want to be hugged, or I want to be talked to a certain way, or I want to be acknowledged a certain way. It's not happening. Right. And so I'm like, why is it not happening? And I don't understand why it's not happening. And I'm not having the tools that I need to address it at the time. Now I have those tools. Now I have those lessons. Now I have that knowledge. So now I can go back and forgive that part or that version of me that was lacking at that point in time and say, look, babe, you got it now. You can do it. This is how we're going to address it. This is how we're going to fix it. And so in this particular instance with my son was he was in crisis. He was having a moment. He was having a meltdown. He got in trouble. And I'm trying to explain to him why he was in trouble for what he did. And as we're having the conversation and I'm explaining things to my son on 11, which he can understand, he kept yelling at me, right? Excuse me. And I'm like, why you keep yelling at me? I'm not yelling at you. I'm not, I'm not like, rah, on you or anything like that. Like, why are you yelling at me? And so in the midst of us having a conversation, I said, look, I understand that you're feeling your feelings. However, I need you to stop yelling at me. I'm not yelling at you. Please don't yell at me while we're having this conversation. And we continue talking, and then he's yelling at me again. So he wound up yelling at me a total of 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I blew my top. I was like, I'm done. This conversation's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't care. I care, but I don't care, and I can't talk to you right now. I'm done. I can't have this conversation with you because you're not acknowledging how I'm feeling in this moment. I'm attempting to acknowledge where you are. I'm understanding that you have these feelings right now. I'm understanding that these are your emotions right now, and you're doing the best to regulate your emotions. However, in the midst of this experience, this is where I can meet you with the capacity that I have. Right? So instead of me being impulsive and saying, flip this child, right? I said, I have to step away. I'm learning to step away. and hold space for myself. So as I stepped away, I felt a surge of energy just go up. And I was just like, I had so much inside that I walked away and I got into the hallway and I just blew up. And I'm just like, I don't understand. And I'm like, and tears are flowing. And I'm just like, why is this happening to me? And I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of being confident. I'm tired of being optimistic. I'm tired of being hopeful. I'm tired of being a positive person. I'm tired of da. All the while as I'm saying this and I'm feeling this and it's coming out, I'm also feeling bad for even having these feelings or these emotions, right? And so this beautiful woman, she stepped out and she saw me in the midst of my crisis and in the midst of my storm, and she was the lighthouse for me. And she said to me, "It's okay. You are frustrated." And I said, "I am. I'm extremely frustrated. I'm over this shit." Right? I don't want to do it no more. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of being the strong one. I'm tired of holding it all together. I'm tired of holding it down. I'm tired of being the anchor for everybody else. Who is being the anchor for me? Who is recognizing where I am in this situation and holding space for me in the midst of all this crazy stuff that's going on, right? And so what she said to me was very powerful in the moment because I'd never had anybody hold space for me to that regard, like, and not be judgmental, right? So what she said to me was, it's okay to be frustrated. And when you are frustrated, it is your opportunity to let it all go, to release and let it all out, to say what needs to be said, whether the person is there or not, but to say it and speak it into the atmosphere or into the universe or speak it to God so that God can understand and God can know. Now, granted, God already knows what's going on, right? God knows you from the inside out. Spirit knows you from the inside out. The universe knows you from the inside out because you are a part of it and it is a part of you. What I'm learning is that although spirit, God, universe, whomever, however you want to connect, although it is known, it has to be acknowledged, right? You have to acknowledge it. And acknowledging it is speaking it. Acknowledging it is feeling it. Acknowledging it is expressing it however you need to express it. And so, in talking to my beautiful lighthouse and talking to my therapist and talking to the different people that God has been popping up in my life through the fellowship, which I'm learning, right? I'm learning and I found that when you self-sabotage, you're holding it all in. You're internalizing everything and you're not allowing yourself a way to let it out, right? You're standing in your own way. You are blocking yourself from fully feeling, fully expressing, fully growing, fully, just being who you are. You're blocking yourself from being genuinely you, right? And I'm real big on being true to me because that's something that my mom instilled in me, to thine own self be true. I end all my videos with that now. And so it's like, am I being true to myself if I'm not acknowledging how I'm feeling? If I'm wanting to be so good, and that's another thing of self-sabotaging, perfectionism, right? Am I being so intentional, alert, and aware that I'm not even allowing myself to be a mess? Because realistically, we are all messes right now. Like, especially with society being the way it is right now, especially with, economy being what it is, especially with, just the whole, just the governmental shutdown and the things that are happening in different parts of the world. We are a mess. And many of us are not wanting to acknowledge or admit that we are a mess. And what she showed me is that it's okay to be a mess. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fall down. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to be working through it, to figure it out, as long as you are moving and pushing through in the right direction, right? As long as you're willing to do the work, as long as you're willing to put the effort out there, right? And so I was struggling because I'm like, okay, I want to make this video. I want to make this video. I want to make this video. And I was just like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the words. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forward. I'm stuck. I said this video. I made this video. And now I feel like I don't have anything else to say. I feel like I've felt this. I've reached this level of plateau and I can't get past it. That's self-sabotage. I'm thinking about it in a negative way or a negative aspect. So therefore, I'm blocking myself. I'm stagnating myself. And so what I had to learn was to sit down, be still, feel my feelings, talk to the right people, and be honest. I had to learn to be a mess. It's okay to be a mess. You don't have to have everything together, right? You don't have to have it all figured out. It's baby steps. As a good person that was acquainted with, she said to me, stop trying to eat the whole elephant at once. You got to take small bites. And so, with that being said, take your small bites and remember that it is okay to mess up and make mistakes. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to not know. Just keep moving forward. Okay? And with that being said, I'm going to end my video. And always remember to thine own self be true. Peace.